We're fishing a big shoal area on Larchwood Lake, which is located in the East Kootenay region of British Columbia. Larchwood is full of lively rainbow trout, and we should be able to fool our share of fish using these new lines. So join us today as we fish Larchwood Lake with clear intermediate sink lines on Sport Fishing on the Fly.
Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to Sport Fishing on the Fly. Well, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to anchor up in this nice little bay. We're at Larchwood Lake in southeastern British Columbia. Great little lake where I can use all these different techniques to catch fish. And what I want to key on today is intermediate sink lines. This intermediate sink line is a really invaluable tool to have when you go to a different lake and you want to fish nice shallow water. This area that I'm in now is about 10 to 12 feet deep, and it goes up onto a nice shoal that's about 4 feet deep. If you have this intermediate line, you can fish anything from chironomids all the way down to leeches, damsels, anything you want. It's just a great fly line to have. So stay tuned. When we come back, I'm going to show you different methods you can use to fish this intermediate sink line successfully. Okay, digging. So we decided to come over to Larchwood Lake, which is really close to Tamarack, and do a little chironomiding, and this guy happened to first cast with a nice little chironomid, and we got this one. Heat of the day, but still, you know, if you're, I've got an intermediate sink line, so I'm letting the chironomid sink down and just bringing it straight back up. Oh, this one's a pretty fish. He's a nice healthy guy. Really fat fish. He's gorged. He's been feeding heavy. He's a little pig, but he's got real nice colors, and we'll let him go. There he goes. That's not a bad little fish to start off. Got that guy on the chironomid, wet line technique, had it sink down right near the bottom, slowly brought it back. Oh, there's a good one. Oh, boy, he just smoked it. Man, oh man, see, that's the nice thing about wet line chironomiding. If you're bringing that fly straight up, they just pop it. What I have here is a Marriott 5-weight rod, one of their new ones, and for a 5-weight rod, this fish has this baby bent right over. And this is a pretty heavy rod for this lake, but these fish in here are thick. We got a perfect ideal setup here. Deep part of the lake, probably 30 to 40 feet out in the middle. There's a real nice little channel all the way up into the reeds here, and the fish just follow this channel up. Oh gee, hope that loon doesn't get too close. They love to go after fish. Boy, this guy's fighting great. Like I was saying earlier, the fish all seem to feed out in the deep water. You know, they'll all sit out there, and then once it cools down a bit, they'll start sliding up this channel all the way to the reeds, and it's just perfect. I just sit right in the middle of the channel with my chironomid and bring them up through and pick these guys off. Now that's a nice rainbow. Look at how healthy these fish are. Oh, nice silver. Probably 14 inches. Very, very nice. All right, let's give everybody a little look at this guy. Boy, that's a nice size fish. Look at that. That's a nice, pretty fish. Look at how silver they are. They're just a beautiful color to match the bottom. You know, it's a real nice marl lake, and they take on that nice green silver color. So they just mass themselves in there perfect. Boy, he gave me a good fight. Yeah. There he goes. This guy's going psycho. Oh boy. And boy, we saw that guy rise. He just rose right beside the boat. He came right down the channel, right where we expect him to be, and he popped it. I just left my chironomid down there, and you know with the shiny, oh, and he got off. See, and I'll show everybody the chironomid. He happened to got off, but that little guy took it. That wasn't as big a fish, probably 13 inches, but still nice. This little chironomid has a nice little gold bead on it, and it's got a nice little white tuft to the top, and that really, really attracts the fish. If fish are cruising around, try not to cast to the fish. Just keep that chironomid down and give that chironomid a little motion, and those fish will bolt towards it. There's a nice little shot of the guy right there. got the nice red rib on him, black chironomid. There's been a few blacks coming off, and a very nice little fly. So I think what we'll do right now is, since this fly is being so effective right now, why don't we go to the bench and we'll tie it up.
Today in the bench, we thought we'd change it up a little bit. Seeing how Don's at Larchwood Lake catching all the fish and showing you how to do the fishing, we thought maybe I would tie up the chironomid that he's been using so successfully there. So get this list of ingredients ready in order to tie the fly. We're going to tie the fly on a size 14 TMC 2487 scud pupa hook. We're going to use 6/0 red thread for the tag and for tying the fly in. We use red copper wire for the rib, black super floss for the body, peacock curl for the thorax, a 3/32 gold bead to enhance the fly, and white antron for the gills. So we're going to start by tying in our red thread, and we're just going to tie it in at the front end because we're going to put the gill plate on and then we're going to put the bead on, so we don't want to tie it in too far back. So we take our white antron, a nice clump of white antron. This is going to be for the gill plate. Extend it out past the front. So now I'm just going to whip finish this off so I can take the hook out of the vise and put on the glass bead. Again, try not to build up too much of that tying material up at the front there because the bead's got to fit on it. So now we're going to take the hook out of the vise, and we've got our 3/32 gold bead, and there's a wide end and a narrow end. You want to put it in the wide end. Slide that right up to the front, put it back in the vise, and then we're ready to tie in the body and put the ribbing in. So now we're going to tie our red thread back in, and we're going to take it right back to the about halfway on the hook shank, on the bend on the hook shank there. We're going to build it up a little bit, do a couple extra wraps, and come forward about 1/8 of an inch, and that's going to leave a nice little red tag at the bottom end of it. So then we're going to take our red copper wire, and we're going to tie that in. We'll use that for the ribbing, so we get it tied in. And then we're going to take our black super floss for the body, and we get it tied in. Get that thread right up to the bead, and then we wrap in our body. And the nice thing about the super floss, and why we like to use the super floss, is if you pull it, it makes a nice thin body, and it gives it a little bit of a segmented look as well. We're leaving about 1/8 of an inch off the bottom for that nice red tag, and you just keep working this all the way right up to the bead. So now we take our red copper wire, and you can see we've got a nice little tag of red thread sitting off the back. You could tie it with the red copper wire. That's what Brian Chan did, and that looked really nice as well. So we're just going to segment the body up. The last step of the fly now is to add the thorax. We're going to use one single strand of peacock curl. So we just lay that on, and again, this is just to build up the thorax area, because if you look at the chironomids, they do have kind of a puffy area right there, and so you don't want a whole lot there, so we're going to wrap it maybe 3 or 4 wraps. So the last stage now is to trim the gills back. Well, you don't want too small the gills, but you don't want it too big either. So you just trim the gills back so they flare out a little bit. And there you have it, a nice little chironomid. And you know, it doesn't really matter how good the fly looks. I know if Don was here to tie the fly, it would look a lot better than that. But what's important is that the fly catches fish. And I know this fly is going to catch fish, so I'm going to put it in my fly box for the next time I'm out at Larchwood Lake. But right now, let's get back to Don, because he's there catching fish.